Hello YouTube, this is BUB'S Comics coming at you with a comic haul. This time we got some gold, we got some copper, we got some silver. I don't think we got any bronze, so a rare bronze-free haul for me. But some good stuff all around. Super excited, some great artist showcase here. And we're going to start things off with an oddball. This is a comic that I'm excited to have. It's an LB Cole cover, but it's probably not like any LB Cole cover you've ever seen. So we'll start off with Baseball Thrills 3D. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I love that. If you guys know, I collect 3D comics. They're not all created equally. I promise you that. Some of them are absolutely terrible. I've taken a quick look at this one. It's not too bad, actually. Some of them from this time period are really rough. But this is after LB Cole's retirement ended. You may know that he did not, when the Comics Code of Authority came into being, he quit drawing comics. He took it as an insult, and he quit doing covers and doing comics. So later, they were able to coax him in the latter portions of his life. They were able to coax him out of retirement to do a few covers here and there. And this is one of those covers. So pretty cool. Baseball Thrills 3D. Look at that. And what I like is, you know, it still has that kind of LB Cole style. Very few colors though. You know, it's very mostly black and white, and then it has that kind of bullseye coming at you. It's a really cool theme. I like how the word baseball is written, and it's got kind of that like dots inside and everything, so pretty cool. I like this book a lot, and I know that LB Cole covers in the golden age, especially his pre-code horror, can get pretty expensive and hard to find in good condition. So, you know, I'm picking up some of his latter work that's a little less known, a little less, you know, shown off, but it's still Cole work. So, and I like 3D, so this fits right in my wheelhouse. And I like these magazine style formats because they kind of don't count in my hard 3,000 comic limit because they don't fit in a box. So they don't fit in the drawer. So kind of these are the books that slide. Same thing goes for slabs. You know, anything that's a slab doesn't fit in the drawer, so it kind of sneaks out of the hard limit there. Keeping in theme, here's another LB Cole cover, magazine sized, and this is much more true to form for LB Cole. So this is Dread of Night. Look at that. So this cover is interesting to me because not only is the LB Cole cover, of course, and creepy and gross and nasty and all those things, and much more traditional. I love that frog. My favorite part of the cover is the frog. Check that guy out. I mean, that is one rough Budweiser frog. That is rough. Tails so intense, they'll dredge up the dead. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Some LB Cole work right there. Very nice. I think that's a pretty good cover. It's gross, obviously, but the frog brings it home for me. So now this book, I was going to say, what's interesting about this book is that they had a market preview magazine that had come out with this artwork on it, but it had a different title. They ended up not using it for that publication, and instead they used it for Dread of Night. So it was the same publisher and everything. So anyway, so if you see this on the market preview, it will have a different title up here. It's not the title they ended up going with, so they went with Dread of Night #1 instead. So that's kind of some interesting trivia there. All right, let's move out of some Cole work, which is, I think, great, and definitely Cole I can afford. And we'll move into some Copper Keys. Here we have my second copy of Uncanny X-Men 282, first Bishop, first cameo Bishop. I don't know. It always gets tough when the first appearance is also on a cover, or the cameo is also on a cover, because I think if you combine cover, well, of course this is the oldest debate ever, but for me, anytime the first appearance of a character is in the book, then it's automatically their first appearance. That's it. You can't have a cameo unless you're already an established character. And in this case, if it's a first appearance, whether it's on a cover or last panel, I don't care what it is. As long as they see you and you're recognizable. If it's a hand or something like that, I don't think it counts as a cameo or a first appearance. I think a first appearance is the first time that you're recognizable as a character, and there you go. So this is, to me, first appearance of Bishop. But either way, 282. I already have a copy of this one. It's a much better copy of this one. But I was buying another book, and I just threw this in on the lot. It was a Facebook auction. So I threw it in just in order to, I had room in my shipping budget, you know. So I threw it in for a few bucks, and I'll probably keep it, or I might sell it. But glad to have another copy of that. And also, I bought a press. And I've been working on pressing books, and I've got a bunch of cleaning supplies. I've been cleaning books. So as a low-grade collector, it's really improving a lot of my books. So this book I also bought to be a practice book to clean because it was very dirty. And I actually did already clean it. And, you know, I made a couple mistakes here and there on this one, but overall, the whites cleaned up pretty good as they generally do, and the blue and the X-Men cleaned up really nice too. Next we have a nice little Copper Age key here, Deathstroke the Terminator #1 by Mike Zeck. That's a pretty decent copy. You'll see that it has something of a bend right there. I don't know if that's coming through on camera, but I'm going to press that out. Other than that, I think it's a pretty nice contender. A nice clean book, a little match in the corner there, but nothing too bad. And the reason I picked this up is because when you go to meet Mike Zeck, who seems to come around my area quite a bit, he has lots of posters and everything set up on the table, and this was one of the few books or anything that I didn't have of his, so that he seemed to be proud of. So when I see him next, I'll get him to sign this one. I've already had him sign Secret Wars 1, Secret Wars 8, Captain America Annual. So I've already had him sign some of his most iconic covers. So I don't have this one signed, so I picked this book up just to get signed by Mike Zeck next time I see him. Next we have a book that I was really excited to get. I've been going back and forth with a lot of sellers. And here is Elvira's House of Mystery #11. And so the big deal with this, of course, is Dave Stevens' cover, and one of my favorite Dave Stevens covers of all. I think it's the best drawing of Elvira, not because it is the most accurate depiction of Elvira, but I think she looks even better than she did in real life, you know. So I really like that. Classic Dave Stevens cover, one of the must-have if you're a Dave Stevens collector. And one of the reasons that I got this book now is because I had been seeing this book go for about, you know, 20-25 bucks, and I had been holding off on it because I wanted to see if I could pick it up at a con. And I figured this book, I should be able to get a pretty rough condition of this book for about 15 bucks. And that was my goal. It's on my con list of things to get for about 15 bucks. And so when this book came up for grabs, I think the seller had it at like 25, including shipping, but he had or best offer. So we ended up settling on $20, including shipping, which wasn't too bad. And even though it was $5 more than I ultimately wanted to pay, it's like a 9/8 copy. It has one little bend right there that's non-color breaking that'll press right out, and the rest is absolutely perfect. No ticks. It's never been opened, it doesn't seem. It's an absolutely immaculate copy of the book. So if I can get a 9/8 for only $5 higher than I was going to spend for a reader copy, I'll do that all day. So there you go, Dave Stevens, Elvira, bear and all for you. Next we've got a major key here from the Silver Age. We have the Avengers #57. So here in a minute, through the magic of, whatever, the magic of YouTube and video editing, I'm going to show you what this book used to look like, and go. And that's how the book used to look. And then also I'm going to show you some images of some of the pressing that I did. So show that now. And then also, here is the book in person. So look at that. You can see how clean and crisp this book came. And I was worried about it. I was worried that it was only the second book I had ever pressed. And I thought, why not go for it? Everyone talks about buying like multiple books. I've heard people say just buy a long box as cheap as you can get them and press books until you get it right, and press and press and press. That's not really my style. For me, I more enjoy learning from other people's mistakes more than going through making all the mistakes myself. So I reached out to a lot of YouTubers who already do pressing, and a lot of them reached out to me. And then I also watched a lot of pressing videos on YouTube, and some of them you could tell were doing the wrong thing by the results. So anyone who I saw had good results, I tried to learn from, and I kind of made something of a do's and don'ts list of my own before I even pressed anything. Before I even had my press, I had bought my press, it hadn't arrived yet, and I already had a list of do's and don'ts based on what everyone else had done, and I found the common thread and kind of the average approach that seemed to get the best results across all the things that I had watched. And so instead of just kind of beating my head against the press all day, I decided to do that, and it worked. And as soon as from the very first book, I haven't had a real major accident yet of any kind. From the very first book, it worked, and it's still working. So very happy with that. Avengers number 57, first appearance division. I kind of have this book for sale, but it's one of those where I've put the price on it a little higher than most people will want to pay for it, so it'll stay in my collection. And I'm not upset about that. All right, next we have a big Golden Age book for me. It's my first, hopefully, of many. I'm going to start working on a Planet's comic run. So here's Planet Comics number 59. Now, as many of you know, Golden Age books can be very expensive, but as some of our favorite YouTubers will tell us, anyone can get into Golden Age if you just budget and plan and sell off a bunch of your other junky books and wait for the right book and the right price. That's fair, but for me, probably the only realistic way to complete a 73-issue Golden Age run, starting back from the 40s, is going to be to collect basically in any grade I can get them. So all the, must be this, must be that kind of stuff that I was using for Bronze Age books and then even Silver Age books are all out the window. Basically, if I can collect these books in almost any grade. Now, I want the cover art to be relatively intact, and if there's going to be any blemishes of any kind or any missing pieces to the cover, I don't want it to affect major artwork or major writing on the cover. So you see here, there's a piece of the cover missing here, but it does not interrupt the writing here, where it says Voyage to the Wonder World of Tomorrow with Mista of the Moon, Star Pirate, Futura, Space Rangers, and many others. So it doesn't interrupt any of that, it just barely misses it. Then there's some torn piece here that's been fixed a long time ago with sellotape, real long ago. But again, doesn't interrupt that artwork. It interrupts the title a little bit, but not too bad. And then there's another tear here that does interrupt some of the artwork, but it's not missing. It's still there, and it's attached with sellotape beneath it. So this is probably about as low grade as I'm going to settle for, but it matches all my criteria for this run, which is going to be no major artwork interrupted and none of the major writing interrupted. The fact that it says 52 pages right there is kind of torn off there. That doesn't bother me at all. I don't want the artwork. So here's tore up. And also, it's got like, somebody named Ruth or something wrote their name at the top, but it's very faint. It's in pencil. I could probably clean it off, but honestly, it doesn't bother me. And just as a side note, that's when people used to know how to write. So like when you get to the Bronze Age books and you got, like Jeremy written on the cover, it's written in some like 2-year-old scribble. It looks terrible. At least all the names I've ever seen written on the covers of Golden Age books are all in very neat penmanship and usually cursive and looks much better. So, so there you go. My hard, fast rule against names on the cover apparently has an age limit. Even some of the Silver Age books, when you see people write their names on those covers, they look better too. But Bronze Age and newer, when somebody writes their name, they look terrible. Those kids didn't know how to write their name. So anyway, that's my haul. I know it ran a little long, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. Copper Age keys, Gold Age, I don't know. Any book from the Golden Age is a key to me. We got some great art showcase here today. Hope y'all enjoyed this, and look for a lot more appearances by Planet Comics and a lot more keys to come. So I thank you for joining me in this, and this is Bub's Comics saying read a comic, and we'll catch you later. Bye.